Japan is filled with some amazing spots for shopping, culture, and of course their food. About 2.5 hours away from Tokyo by bullet train, you'll find yourself in Osaka, a city which prides itself on their food.
This chicken broth is amazing.
In this video, I'm going to take you into the depths of Osaka to show you some of their best hidden gems for ramen in the city. Hope you brought some food with you, because you'll be drooling while watching and after you see what I have in store for you.
I've never been a fan of chicken ramen until this one. This has changed my mind on what chicken ramen can be. That's a winner.
Stick around to the end of the video to find out the locations for each of the places I went to. Our first stop is Menya Take Hankyu Umeda. This one is pretty difficult to find because all I knew that it was located somewhere in Umeda train station. It's also gate locked behind the train ticket gates. Here's how we managed to get through.
Alright guys, so I'm standing in line at the next place, and the craziest thing is, this restaurant's inside a station. So you have to actually go through the gates in order to eat here. But I asked, I'm just eating here, can I just kind of go through and travel through? They were like, no, you have to get an admission ticket. The admission ticket's pretty cheap, it's only 160 yen, which is what, like 17 bucks Australian? Not bad. So just FYI, if you want to try this place, you have to get an admission ticket, or if you're already using this platform to get somewhere, sort of make it on your transit on the way to your next destination. But anyways, we're gonna go order and see what it was all about.
Like with most establishments in Japan, you'll order and pay for your meal through a ticket machine system. I opted for their sukemen, which separates the noodles from the broth.
This place is pretty tight, I'd say. The fact that you have to pay just to come in to try the foods in the station, I don't know how I feel about that.
My goodness, look at this set. And the broth itself is more of a concentrated flavor. The broth is also thicker in texture, almost like a gravy consistency, so it clings to the noodles better. The noodle texture is thicker in width for the broth to hold on, but it's also topped with pork cooked in different styles, such as thinly sliced and roasted. Just from the noodles and broth alone, this has got to be one of my favorite styles of ramen ever. The noodles are bouncy and bring a nice mouthfeel when chewing. The broth has a strong porky/seafood flavor, which brings out the satisfying umami taste. And to make it even more delicious, the cuts of pork come in with a final punch of savory flavors, which makes this spot a real treat for those who love flavor. What elevates and rounds out this meal is 1, the pepper on the pork, and 2, the hint of yuzu lemon in the broth so that it doesn't become overly salty or sickening. What an amazing start to this food adventure.
Wow guys, that was such an incredible sukemen. This little store in the station doing wonders. My final thoughts are, I'd say that it's pretty good. There was a pop of yuzu lemon in the broth, and that helped to balance everything out, and so that was really, really good. There was a lot of variety in the dish, but I did get the deluxe version. Check it out if you get the chance. So we're going to move on to the next one.
If you're enjoying the video, make sure to give us a cheeky like and subscribe. It will really help with the channel, so thanks so much in advance. Now let's get back to this ramen review.
So we are at our next stop. The place is called Ramen Muri. They were open early this morning, but because we were eating so much earlier, we didn't have enough time to get here.
Next up is a place called Ramen Muri, which specializes in a chicken-based broth for their ramen. I rarely order chicken broth ramen, as I found most of the time pork-based broth seems to be more my style, but I was in for a delicious surprise.
As far as prices go, ramen wouldn't really bust you anything more than like 1,500 yen here, so 16 bucks. But if you do go for a premium one, you're looking at about 20 bucks, which is so common back in Australia. Like here, the basic chicken one was 950 yen, so that's like 10 bucks. And I'm legitimately the only one here. No one here.
Let's start with the broth. Its white silky appearance reminded me something like soy milk, but its flavor profile was nothing like it.
So keen. Alright, first sip. Whoa. That's a really good broth. I haven't even tried everything else yet. This chicken broth is amazing.
Somehow, the chef managed to extract all the chicken taste and beautifully pairs it with the pork base. Lastly, the noodles were a perfect thickness to soak up the broth.
It's a thinner type of noodle. These noodles are very silky as well, so you're going to be able to slurp these up really, really good.
But it gets better. The pork slices they used had a perfect amount of fat content threaded throughout the whole thing. This makes for an amazing texture where it's easy to bite and chew, but it also enhances the flavor of the pork, combining the two types of meats.
The pork has a really nice porky flavor. It's got really good lean meat, and then just woven throughout the entire pork slice, there's the fat that actually breaks everything down and makes it really, really tender. It's creamy without being milky.
and it's porky and strong flavors without being overpowering and overly salty. I don't know how they made it so milky and tasty without using any dairy. I've never been a fan of chicken ramen until this one. This has changed my mind on what chicken ramen can be. That's a winner. Usually, a lot of the places I go to, they usually do one thing well, like their noodles really well, broth really well, meat really well. This is like an all-rounder. This is doing really, really good work across all the board. Once I devoured the bowl of ramen and getting a quick business card from the chef, our final location is Ramen Jet.
This place is an up-and-coming little ramen shop. I've seen on a few blogs that some locals are saying this could be one of the next best ramen places in Osaka.
I ordered the chicken miso ramen with Kagoshima pork. As you can see, nicely thin slices of pork covering the thick gravy-like broth. It's topped with some greens and onions to balance out the rich flavor. When going for that classic noodle pool, you can easily see how the broth clings onto the noodles.
It's really good. The broth is like a gravy-like texture. It has a very good and very apparent miso flavor, but it's not overly salty. That's the problem I've had with a lot of gravy ramens.
Each bite will be an explosion of flavor you can only dream of until you've experienced what it tastes like for yourself. In terms of the Kagoshima pork, it had less of a porky rich flavor and more of a balanced clean taste, which means I could keep eating this without getting sick of the flavor. So this one is the Kagoshima pork. This looks really nice fat and then just slowly kind of dissipates into the lean meat. The quality of pork here is quite different. Whereas our previous bowl of ramen highlighted the chicken flavor in a creamy and silky way, this bowl elevates the chicken flavor to spotlight its rich and savory flavor profile, likely from the miso blend. For someone who loves more flavor in their dish, this one is an ultra satisfying bowl of ramen. Though for people with sensitive or picky palates, I can see this one being a bit too strong for people's preferences.
Wow, what a cracker of a place. Ramen Jet doing amazing things.
Okay, here are my final thoughts. All three of these ramen locations are doing an amazing job in offering a unique bowl of ramen only found in Japan. I think it's going to be impossible for me to rank which one of these three is my favorite because they're all so unique. I will have to say Ramen Mori is the most interesting because it's doing something I've never experienced before. Also, the fact that it changed my mind about chicken-based ramens has to mean something. If I had to give a recommendation, I would say try all three. They're that good. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite bowl of ramen is or a location that I need to try for myself. Make sure you're subscribed to see my future videos and check out some of my previous videos as well. Take care guys, I'll see you in the next one.